Hello, everybody. Let me introduce our panel on investing in mega events. To my right, Majed bin Ayed Alnefaie, who's from Seera, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. To his right, Tim Hentschel from HotelPlanner, who's here from London. To his right, Ahmed bin Abdulaziz Al-Sulaim, who's from the Jeddah Central Development Company and Corporation. And to his right, our good friend Raki Phillips, who runs a small little tourism operation in Ras Al Khaimah. So thank you, everybody, for coming. As you know, this is being broadcast around the world and also online. My name is Peter Greenberg. I'm the travel editor for CBS News, and I'll be moderating. And the title of our session today is Investing in Mega Events, which is somewhat ironic because we're at a mega event. So we can all talk about that as well. Not far from here, of course, is the World Cup in Doha. We talk about the Olympics. We talk about Formula One. We talk about all these events, by the way, which are not new. The Olympics, countries have been bidding for the Olympics since the Olympics started. So I guess the question that I'm going to ask the group, and then we'll start our conversation, is, and I'll go back to the Olympics, because when I was growing up, there were probably about 40 or 50 countries in any given year that were bidding to host the Olympic Games every 4 years, or the Winter Olympic Games every 4 years. That number now has dwindled. The reason being that the countries or the communities or the cities that bid, that won, it was a great opportunity for them to improve their infrastructure, to build, to improve on every level for an event that only took place for about 2.5 weeks. And then they had a lot of rooms to fill. And they had a lot of space to fill. And it didn't necessarily prove out to be a good investment. Conversely, we've seen here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia an investment in events that I think has been sustainable and continues to be sustainable, possibly because of the fact that the opening of the kingdom has been so recently and the interest has been so strong. So I'm going to start with you, Raki, in Ras Al Khaimah, because when I first came there, which is about 6 or 7 years ago, there was very little development. You had just put, I think, in the zip line, but you didn't have the infrastructure there yet to actually invest in a mega event. What changed?
Morning, Peter. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. When you look at a destination like Ras Al Khaimah, our positioning is great. To host a mega event or host any event, the number one thing is how do people get there? And Ras Al Khaimah, located 45 minutes outside of Dubai International Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world, makes it extremely convenient to be able to attract people to get there, plus driving from the other Emirates. But what has changed is really a clear vision that tourism is part of the livability of the Emirate. It's become the fastest contributor to the GDP of the Emirate, and for us to be able to focus on all of the improvement and the good things that tourism brings has really been cascaded down. So what has that allowed us in the last few years is to really slowly but effectively position the destination more from a MICE perspective, sports. We've hosted over 50 sporting events just this year alone. Next year, we're excited to be home to the mini football World Cup. So similar to what's happening in FIFA, but much smaller. And all of that is exciting that we were able to bid. We're able to bid and be the chosen destination. But we also have the fastest half marathon in the world. We just had the Gumball Rally. We hosted the Global Citizen Forum.
For those people who remember the movie The Gumball Rally, you should go back and look at it again.
It's fantastic. But yeah, all of those allows us, but it has to come, it's the chicken or the egg. The infrastructure, the accessibility, the room nights, the venues, but it's all come, Peter, in a very organic, slow and steady growth.
Now, Majed, you run a company that has 42 different subsidiaries all through the region. You're moving a lot of people. You're providing a lot of different travel services. Raki just talked about infrastructure, and part of that has to be airlift. It's you got to be able to get there.
Yeah, it is a great opportunity that you have our neighbor here, the World Cup. World Cup is it's something. It's not a small event. such event take the attention from all the world around. We got, we see this opportunity. It's important for us, and we did a lot of things to attract the fans who attend the World Cup in Qatar, and we did issuing a visa for people who has the higher card, holder card, and we open our country to attract them. Sport now. If we're gonna talk about sport, okay, as a part of my, as everybody knows that the Middle East is taking a huge part of the attractive new event of sport. Rally Dakar we hosted in Saudi Arabia, and Formula One, Formula E. We could take, or we could position our country in the map of the event or MICE, and that give us as a huge, or a group of tours, has OTA, has a travel agency, has a part for our arm, we call it DMC, Discover Saudi Arabia, who take care of those guests when they plan to come, by doing a good plan for them, to book for them and take a tour in the huge country that we have a different kind of, and people are enjoying their stay in Saudi Arabia, and we are seeing, we go to MICE business. In the last 6 months, or the first 6 months in 2022, that we host around 4,000 event and conference and meeting, or exhibition and conference and meeting. That, between small and big, that's a huge number. It never happened in Saudi Arabia for a previous year. Our authority for...
Well, let me do the numbers for a second. If you're hosting 4,000,
yes,
that's more than 10 a day.
Yes, but between small and big for 6 months. And, we issue a license for last 6 months. Is a 350% increase from last year to this year. And that show you, how attractive our area here, our zone, our zone in Saudi Arabia. Plus, when you host World Cup in neighbor here, that it gives us opportunity to attract people, and all this will go back to infrastructure, the country income. If you guess that each guest will spend between $4,000 to $5,000 US, you just count this and see how attractive it is.
So Ahmed, we know that this can be a great driver of economic growth. We know that it's a job creator. So give me some sort of a track here, if you can, a trajectory, just over the last 36 months of where you can actually do a cause and effect of investing in a mega event, job creation, and economic growth.
Yeah, Peter, Jeddah Central Development, being in Jeddah, the second largest city in Saudi Arabia. And Jeddah Central is solving for a different problem. We are rejuvenating the existing culture encapsulated in Al-Balad, urban and architect. Jeddah is a very vibrant, very busy city, and take in visitors, not just for event, for other, great for the Holy Mosque. It housed a lot of people. Jeddah is 4.7 million. So after Jeddah Central Development and the like, we are creating more than 25,000 direct jobs, induced jobs, and indirect jobs. So Jeddah Central is going to be another vibrant area for Jeddah that is already a vibrant city.
If I put some historical perspective here, excuse me, 5 or 6 years ago, if we were talking about investing in a big event, especially in Jeddah, it would be the Hajj. It would be right? It was religious pilgrims.
Yes, Jeddah being the gate of the two holy mosques, in Vision 2030, it is estimated that By then, we can host up to 30 million religious ritual visitors. And we expect some of these visitors trickle back into Jeddah for rest and relax. And that is a huge number, and that's an event year-round for Umrah, and specific during Hajj, you know.
Well, Umrah is really what's going to save it.
Yes, it is what will sustain the continuous visitors to Jeddah.
Tim, what are you seeing in terms of your playbook? Because it's had to have changed over the last couple of years in terms of inventory and in terms of allocation when you see this growth in mega events.
Definitely. I'd like to say I love this room. It looks like a post-game press room, right? And we're talking about mega events, World Cup. So I just want to say I gave 110% and I left it all on the field. How's that look?
He came to play.
Exactly. I gave it all. But yeah, no, we've all had to pivot over COVID, obviously being the largest online group hotel booking platform in a world where all groups were basically banned for a year and a half. You have to make some changes, but the rebound has been aggressive. The Middle East has been a big shining star in that growth with all the events that have been happening in Abu Dhabi, with what's going on in Qatar right now. We've seen group growth about 30% up year over year from 2022 over 2021 in North America. In the Middle East, we have seen the numbers over 50%. So the Middle East has been outperforming North America and its year-over-year growth, and I think that has a lot to do with all the investment that's going into this region. And I'd have to say it's my first time to Riyadh, but I'm very impressed with the hospitality. The only thing that I would say that they need to change a little bit to get ready to do lots of groups, especially as you get to more amateur sports and youth sports, is improve the visa process a little bit. It's a bit clunky, and I don't know, maybe do away with it completely. If the government needs that information, they can get it off a passenger list from the airlines, or they can just raise the taxes on airline tickets instead of charging the fee for the visa. Because the visa is just, it's unnecessary in today's world, I think, and it's a process that's just a barrier that doesn't need to be there. When you see the cities that have done the best at attracting groups, and as a company that does 5,000 groups a day worldwide, our number one destination is Las Vegas. Second to that is Orlando. And Las Vegas and Orlando make it extremely easy to get in and out of the city. So maybe looking at those as models for how to get the group growth and the mega events attracted to your city is the best to do.
So you do not need a visa to go to Orlando. I just want to make clear of that.
Correct.
Okay, just double checking. I want to throw this open to the panel, and that is, what changes in traveler behavior are you seeing? Because there was a time not too long ago when people would say, I want to just go visit this destination because I've read about the history, I've read about the culture, the music, the food, and how much of it now is just driven by, I want to go to attend this event?
I could definitely take that real quick. I mean, Greg O'Hare from Terrace touched upon it on the main stage panel just earlier. Building an infrastructure around the big event. He talked about, you remember, the $1 billion it's going to go towards the big projects, a big hotel, expanding the airport, expanding the convention center. But getting the smaller, add-ons for things to do in conjunction with is the harder thing to build for central development, and I'm sure you can add to this as well. But, the thing that makes Orlando and Las Vegas so great is after the big event, there's something for everybody to do, whether you're, what your age range or what your interest is, there's something that you can do in addition to, and building that out, I believe, as Greg pointed out, is the hardest thing for cities to do.
And Peter, if I may add, the customer is so important in Jeddah Central Development that we created at the corporate level, Chief Customer Experience Officer. So important that you take care of the customer needs, finding about the destination, logistics to it, like Tim just mentioned, and once he's in the country, to find my way easy, and after all, it has to be cost effective. And it has to give a spectrum to various budget affordability. It doesn't have to be he lose all his money just to visit a destination. We have something we call from popcorn to Michelin star. So we have a visitor who wants to spend money, we have a place for him, but to find my way, feeling comfortable, safe, and welcome is a key success, because we are today a global village with the internet. You know, you find out about all the places a lot more than we used to in the past. And then once you want to get there, you want to make it as pleasant, as easy, as convenient, you know, as you can possibly, like Tim just mentioned, you know, use some data from airline, don't double, don't make it miserable experience.
Well, I'm sorry, I was just going to ask one follow-up question on that, Ahmed, and that is, in Jeddah particularly, how many rooms have you added in the last, let's say, 24 months?
Our market study shows a steady growth. We are adding on top of that 2,400 hospitality key room, 17,000 resident, with an absorption rate by 2040, it will be all gone. And we are continuously reassessing the market study as there is change in Jeddah with this big program, and we are ascertaining the demand, and the chief development has a mission to be able to adjust some of the asset mix on the fly, like you said.
I'm noticing one thing in Jeddah, and I'll get right to you, and that is, I see what you're doing in the old city, and the restoration work there,
Yes.
and then there's the port.
Yes, yes.
Underlying what Mr. Ahmed said, our group alone had last year more than 800 rooms between 3-star, between 5-star and 4-star, and the brand of choice, because we saw that Jeddah is attractive city, and our visitor is increasing year by year. So who will come to Umrah or Hajj, or who will come to visit Jeddah itself. So, we are lining with the plan of our country or our sister company, may I call it. When they build a mega project, we go and sit with them to make sure that we are aligned together, to make sure we know we are aligned.
Well, it's about connectivity.
Exactly, and our job, we have to study the traveler behavior. Okay, our job, we have to study the traveler behavior, because when like with what Mr. Ahmed said, or even outside in North Al-Khaimah or what we have to see what they have. Then we have to translate it in a nice way to make our client life easy. And after we start in the technology way, we make it easy and easy. Yes, we got a huge hit in the pandemic, but we transfer it to be an advantage for make the technology tools helping our client, okay, but by using applications and a lot of things, that it become an easy way to choose where you want to go with the new, people are, now we have a segment, people are traveling for a lifestyle. People are traveling because he has a conference here and there, and he can continue doing his work using, his phone or his iPad or laptop. So the life or the culture of travel are changing, and we have to make this easy for our client to use our tools, our inventory, our airline booking, to understand where to go and to take the benefit from this mega project, opportunities. And
You mentioned the word lifestyle, so let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. It's my belief, and I think experience in this room would dictate this, that when you're dealing with this kind of number of mass tourism, that people don't want to change their lifestyle when they change their location. They think they do, but they don't. They want to, especially in the world of digital nomads, people want to continue to do what they did when they were at home, when they're on the road. We just saw somewhat of a problem in Doha when they decided not to sell beer at the games. And Raki, you just actually broke open a door in Ras Al Khaimah with the announcement of a casino.
Thanks, Peter. I mean,
I had to ask the question.
what we announced was WIN is launching an integrated resort in the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah, which we're very excited about. This is a game changer from a tourism perspective and a seismic shift to attracting new types of development. What the integrated resort is going to bring is a tremendous amount of restaurants, shows, attractions, and really is a tourism boost and an infrastructure boost to an emirate like Ras Al Khaimah that's developing. And it's quite exciting because what changes is the whole infrastructure of the improvement that will happen from a livability perspective. So tourism really is a driver of a community engagement, ensuring that things are moving forward. And when you look at a company like WIN and the developments that they've done, 90% of their project in Las Vegas is off the grid. They work off of a solar farm out of the Nevada desert. So it's taught us how you can do sustainable projects very well, even if they're mass projects. So from that end, we're looking at all angles. The UAE has been extremely progressive in the way it's been over the last decade. I mean, really, I don't think there is another nation in this part of the world that has been so forward-thinking when it comes to tourism over the last 3 decades, when tourism was really introduced, whether it was grand projects like the Burj Al Arab and the things that Jumeirah, Burj Khalifa, the Atlantis, and now with WIN, I think those are really the seismic changes that this part of tourism needs.
Well, you mentioned the word seismic change, so I'll continue on that theory. What Tim was saying before is that when people go to a mega event, they want to be able to do something when that event is over. They want to have other options, entertainment, music, culture, etc. What kind of support did you get from the leadership of that emirate?
A tremendous amount of support. I mean, His Highness is very focused on tourism. You have to remember, Ras Al Khaimah was very much a industrial emirate. It was a destination that we have the 3rd largest ceramics manufacturer in the world's largest rock quarry reserves. So tourism was really something that was introduced in the last decade, and it has absolutely transformed the emirate. And being something that complements Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the other emirates, RAK naturally fits that mold to be able to do that. The direction is great, and the beauty of the UAE, and as progressive as the emirate is, if it makes business sense, if it's something that has a great contributing factor to the emirate and the livability of the destination, we get full support with it moving forward.
So you're an incubator here.
I think we're an innovator, and so is the UAE in general with the way they're doing things. Whether it was the launch of Emirates Airlines, the launch of local hotel brands, Rotana and Jumeirah were hotel brands that have been in existence for many years. But I think the UAE has always been an innovator in tourism and continues to do that.
Well, I want to recognize Gerald Lawless here, speaking of Jumeirah, who put those hotels on the map.
You know, he was the forefather that allows me to do the things that I do now.
I got to recognize it.
So you touched on Qatar not allowing alcohol at FIFA at the World Cup, and I actually think it's quite a smart decision on their part. I mean, when you look at Disneyland, they don't have alcohol at Disneyland. I think it hasn't hurt their travel or attendance to Disneyland at all. It makes Qatar who they are. It makes Saudi who they are. It makes it a family-friendly destination. I think we need to embrace more of that. I mean, when we travel, we want to, embrace the local culture. That means, being a friendly traveler and doing what that local culture, requires of us.
Actually, if I can add to Tim's point, alcohol is banned at many European football stadiums because of
for all the right reasons.
For all the right reasons. So I don't think Doha making that announcement was unprecedented. There are stadiums in most of Europe that ban alcohol because of all of the situations that have happened. So it's nothing that's out of the norm. In fact, I think we need to embrace that this is a Middle Eastern country, and it's the first time that a Middle Eastern country is hosting such a grand global event like the World Cup. I mean, Dubai hosted, the UAE hosted Expo, which was very successful. And I think people need to recognize that this part of the world is going to be in the forefront of events moving forward.
So this double-edged sword that I have to ask a question about is, to what extent, with mass tourism and investing in mega events, challenges the culture?
I think that's a great question. I think one of the best things the Middle East can do is continue on this path, start the UAE with F1 partnership, and bring the mega events to this region, to bring people from the West that are a little bit outside of their comfort zone to experience it. Because when you hear about it, especially on the BBC, and they just announce, oh, they banned drinking a pint at a football game, the spin on that is negative. But when you actually get here and you realize, you know, you really didn't need that beer anyways, and it's so beautiful, and the people are so nice, and the weather is amazing, you appreciate it much more. And that's the only way that the Middle Eastern culture can expand around the world, is by welcoming more tourists here to experience it firsthand, so that you don't have to worry about the media spin on the other side.
And if you allowed me, the beauty of travel that you learn and see other cultures. If you were gonna change every mega project plan to match with the other country culture, that we lose, you know, a big part of the travel enjoying.
I agree. So the question then becomes, and you just said it, Tim, comfort zone. And that is, to what extent are people not prior to this year coming to this region because they were worried about their comfort zone? To what extent do these mega events actually cater to that comfort zone?
Well, I mean, looking for that perfect blend is great. I think that's what WTTC has done really well with this event. I mean, last night they put $1 million, the Saudi government put $1 million into the firework display for the VIP dinner. I didn't make it because I was flying in late, but I happened to be on the road as the fireworks were going out. And what I found was really interesting is that all these families were parking their cars out on the desert and making little bonfires. And so everybody in the local community was enjoying the fireworks. So they obviously made the local community aware that these fireworks were going to go on. And even though it was intended to impress the dignitaries that were coming all around the world, and all the CEOs that were coming all around the world to come here for this event, the local community got to embrace it for quite a nice family-friendly event, as they got to camp out on the desert and watch a fireworks show. These kind of events can do more like that, with whether it's involving the local community. So some of the money that's being spent is also enjoyed in that way. But also what Doha with what Qatar did with, as you spoke about, FIFA or the Olympics isn't as popular anymore because it leaves around this infrastructure that decays. But they made the first stadium that's going to be torn down right after the stadium's used. I mean, it's made out of shipping containers. So creative ideas like that, fireworks shows that the local communities can enjoy, is all of what mega events can do to bring, you know, everybody closer together.
So Raki, what's the challenge here? What's the downside of investing in a mega event right now?
Well, you got to do it right. I mean, mega events come with a lot of infrastructure, a lot of work, a lot of cost. Sometimes there isn't an ROI to mega events, and if you're looking at dollars and cents, there's incremental things that drive the benefits of the mega event.
Well, you can't use a normal ROI approach.
Absolutely not. What benefits is awareness, and there is a tremendous value in awareness. People talk about it. We're talking about Doha more than we have ever in our lives. But really, there's more of an upswing than a downturn. Bringing the community, your point, Tim, about the locals looking at the fireworks, we see that when we host the Raki Half Marathon in Ras Al Khaimah. All of these events attract people. We just recently hosted the Global Citizen Forum, and we raised a significant amount of money for charity. All of these events are great, and the upside, I think, is a lot more than the downside.
Ahmed, what's your challenge?
Well, our challenge is sustainability of this investment. But you can always host a mega with the economics being right, and it just add more challenge. I don't accept the notion that you should lose. No, you should be able to manage. If you just want to extrapolate from what others did and not look at the opportunity in your area, then you will miss a great deal of, benefits and economics. And you can, like Qatar did, they did fantastic infrastructure that will last for hundreds of years after the event.
If it's designed properly going in.
We visited Qatar, me and my team, and we saw the transport system, we saw the infrastructure, the roads. I mean, majority of their investment is in infrastructure. 8 billion was to the stadium. But it's a great planning. I mean, they just designed Qatar Doha for 2050, I think. You know, the urban expansion will have seamless development. That's the clever, to put this kind of event as a pressure cook to get things done economically, and you just have to be creative.
What you're saying is if you do it right, you go from a one-off event into a much more holistic approach.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you have to, the development companies, or the gentleman on my right, or Tim like and Majed, they have to find the economics so it is sustainable. So you have to create the opportunities. Don't just wait and get stuck with the legacy of the old World Cup that used to be just so expensive.
One and done.
You get stuck with a lot of assets. You don't know what to do. You know, London did the Wembley repurpose. They moved, they redo. So they cleverly designed it to be repurposed. So you can do that as well, but you just need to be more demanding.
So it's not what it costs, it's what it's worth.
Yes, what it's worth. Yes. The future value in your line of sight post the event.
Yeah, to that point, getting the immediate ROI is not necessarily possible to justify the cost of the event, but the residual long-term ROI is huge. I just gave an interview before this panel to Bloomberg. The interviewer kept asking me, how do you like Riyadh? Is this your first time here? I said, yes. And she said, oh, it's a great city, it's booming. I said, yes. She goes, when are you going to put your first office in the Middle East, in Riyadh? I was like, wait, I haven't determined that yet. But the idea that you get somebody, you get CEOs into your destination, and that's what these big mega events bring. And then you show them what's happening here and how much it's growing. And then you ask them to open up offices. I mean, think of the long-term economic benefit of that. It's not easy just to say, oh, we sold this many hotel rooms and we sold this many plane tickets and we sold this many meals. If you get the right people in the destination and they start opening up offices, you have all that tax revenue from all those employees and all of the housing and economic growth that those employees bring to the region. That's the long-term ROI that I don't think is easy to calculate.
So you're saying you have to change the metric.
Correct.
Adding for what Mr. Ahmed said and Tim, that is a part of our role. We have to work with the host, if the event is in our country, to make sure that like example, our arm covers Saudi Arabia. It's a company called DMC. We have to show Tim and other visitors what is the beauty of our country. Because when he leaves, he should see, yes, I go to Riyadh, I visit Riyadh, I saw the desert, I saw the mountain, I saw the eastern region, and in the same time, I think for what Mr. Ahmed said, as a mega project, we have to do our role to go and feed them for our needs, as we are an operator handling the client or the guest need. And where we where we suffer and how we suffer, how we can take an advantage. So he will add it to his plan to come up with a product will help the industry in a good way.
Raki?
I think there is nothing that's comparable to Arabian hospitality, and I think people need to recognize that this part of the world is going through a tremendous transformation. Just look at the chocolates I have in front of me that shows
not just in front of you, in front of each one of us.
That shows just how generous Arabian hospitality is. I'm a proud American who's been living in the Middle East for over 15 years. I met my Swiss wife here. All three of my kids are born in the UAE. This is home, and you feel so comfortable living here, unlike anywhere else. And it's a very metropolitan, cosmopolitan place. Whether it's, I've been doing business in Saudi for over 10 years, and to see the transformation that this country has gone. I was in Doha in 2005 when the airport was the size of this room, and now you go, it's one of the greatest airports in the world, and you see this across all of the Middle East. This is a destination that everyone needs to put their eyes on, not just from hosting mega events, but from the hotels, from the technology, from everything that we're doing from a tourism perspective. I'm very, very excited to be part of this region.
Well,
And in Ras Al Khaimah, for sure.
And on that note,
Yeah.
since we're out of time, okay, go ahead, Majed.
Yeah.
Ahmed.
Okay, I just want to say to Tim's point, we really are creating pressure in the international service providers, hospitality, food and beverage, and what have you, as our local branding start growing. Now, the international houses of excellence have a choice to make. Either they partner, affiliate themselves with a startup in Saudi Arabia. I'm very proud that our master plan was won by a Saudi Jeddah architect house that competed with the best international houses, Zaha Hadid, Calatrava, Nikken, SOM, and this house of excellence in Jeddah won the master plan, and more of the same in the food and in the beverage. I am as a CEO, I am pushing for affiliate yourself with some local, because he brings the flavor and you have the experience and the know-how. And merging these two has to.
I'm almost local. See, look, just like you, see? Look, local, right? I'm local. I'm local. You can tell, right?
Yes. I mean, in the essence, we are a state for, if you can see line of sight a few years from now, there will be a bigger business boom to rebuild some countries around us. So this is the center of business. Every service is here is positioning themselves in the best part that has all the integrated services, in any part, food and beverage, hospitality, offices, residence, stadium, we're all set, and now we are delivering. And that's why we see WTTC and the like start happening in Saudi Arabia.
Majed, Tim, Ahmed, and Raki, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Peter.
ladies and gentlemen.